Hey everybody, how you doing? Welcome to the channel and welcome to our series on dry curing meats, where we take some of the world's most popular dry cured meats and I show you how to make them at home safely, simply, and deliciously. Our recipes are designed for the beginner, so if you're just getting started in this wide world of dry curing meats, I'd like to say welcome. Don't forget, if at any point you have a question, drop it in the comment section below. Today, we're going to be traveling to Mexico to make one of the most iconic dry cured meats that Mexico has to offer, carne seca. Carne seca literally translates to meat that is dried or dried meat, and originally it was a form of meat preservation that didn't require refrigeration. There are a lot of different ways to make carne seca, and depending on where you're at in the country, whether you're in Sonora or Monterrey, the recipes and the styles of preparation may change slightly. My grandfather in Monterrey, Mexico, would take thinly sliced pieces of meat. He would cure them and climb up on the roof of his house and just hang them on clotheslines and let it hang in the hot, dry Mexican weather for anywhere between 1 to 2 days, and then he had carne seca. And so today I'm going to show you how I like to make it. This particular method you can make year-round at home. You don't have to have hot, dry Mexican weather in order to make this particular dry cured meat. So without further ado, let's make carne seca. Let's get our meat ready. I'm going to be using bottom round for this carne seca, and I also want to make sure that I have a nice sharp knife. Very important. I just put a beautiful edge on this knife. And to prepare our meat, we're just going to go ahead and clean up any of the fat that's on it. We're going to remove that fat cap. We're going to clean up the sides and remove any silver skin. You could use bottom round like I'm doing here, or you could use top round. Eye of round also works well. You just want to pick a relatively lean cut. All right, so now that our meat has been cleaned, it's time to slice it. And notice how the meat's a little jiggly. It's a little soft. And although we could slice it with our sharp knife, it actually would be easier to slice if the meat was partially frozen. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this piece in half, which will make it easier to slice later. And we're going to take this and place it into our freezer for about 45 minutes or an hour. This is what our meat looks like after about an hour in the freezer. It's firm to the touch, which is going to make cutting it a whole lot easier. Now, the first thing we want to do is look at the way that the grain or the muscle fibers of the meat run. We want to cut it against the grain. And the trick to making amazing carne seca is cutting your meat or slicing your meat as thinly as possible. And I'm talking ultra thin. So 2 millimeters, 3 millimeters, absolute max. Really, an eighth of an inch or less would be ideal. All right, our meat is sliced. Look how nice and thin that is. The reason we want to cut it so thin is because it's not only going to dry very quickly, but it's also going to give us a very nice, tender, finished product. So let's go ahead and set that to the side. And what we need to do now is weigh our meat, right? Because we need to cure it. The weight of our meat is going to determine how much salt we need to add. And right now, 2,379 grams is what it weighs. We're going to add 2% salt to the meat. And that's it. These are the only two ingredients that are in our carne seca. And if you don't want to fool around with the whole 2% situation, visit the description box below. There's going to be a recipe link. And in the recipe, all you've got to do is plug in how much your meat weighs, and it'll calculate how much salt you need to add. And so what I'm going to do is just add the salt in stages. I'm going to sprinkle a little bit on top, enough to cover the meat. Give it a nice mix, then repeat the process till all your salt is gone. All right, so now that our meat and salt have been properly mixed together, we're going to go ahead and just put it into a slightly smaller container, a little bit more manageable in the refrigerator, and we're going to cover it with cling film. And as far as this process goes, that's really it. I mean, this is going to go into the refrigerator so that it can begin the curing process. And because we've sliced it so thin, this really only needs to cure in your refrigerator for at least 1 hour. While the meat is in the refrigerator curing, let me take a moment to address a couple questions that you might have at this point. Question number one, why are we not using curing salts to protect the meat while it's drying? And the easy answer is that curing salts aren't necessary for carne seca. You got to remember, we're starting off with a whole muscle, which is naturally going to be sterile in the inside, and we're going to be slicing it very thinly, which means this is going to dry really fast, and you'll see here in a minute. Also, we're going to be hanging this to dry in an oxygen-rich environment. So there is absolutely no chance for this to grow the pathogen known as Clostridium botulinum. And the overall chance for spoilage is pretty slim. So if you want to use curing salts, you absolutely can, but it's not necessary for this project. And question number two, can you switch up the protein? Can you use game meat? You know, buffalo, elk, venison. Can you use rabbit, goose, duck? What about pork? The answer is yes. Just be sure to follow the recipe the way that I have it written, and you'll find a link in the description box below, and you're going to have amazing carne seca using just about whatever protein you want. It's been an hour and our meat is properly cured, and so it's time to begin the process of drying, and I'm going to show you two different ways that you could dry this at home and still make carne seca year-round. The first way is using a biltong box. Stick around to the end of this video and I'll put a video suggestion on how to build a biltong box, but it's basically just a plastic bin with a light at the bottom and some vent holes. And as those vent holes draw in fresh air, that light heats up the air, that air will rise, and the meat will slowly dry. We're going to hang our meat using a coated paper clip. So I'm just going to open the paper clip up, and then one half of that paper clip I'm going to rotate 90 degrees. And that's just going to help me maximize the amount of space that I've got in this box. So I'm just going to thread the meat and hang them on the rods. One particular issue that I have using a biltong box, and don't get me wrong, I mean, it works great. It's just mine isn't very big, and so I can't put a whole lot of raw meat in there. So if you plan on making a small batch, a biltong box just might be the answer. But if you do plan on making a large batch, then it's probably not very convenient, in which case option number two, which I'll show you here in a minute, might be a better way to dry your meat. So our meat is hanging. I've got roughly, 1.75 pounds worth of raw meat in there, and we're going to go ahead and put the biltong box together. Plug in the fan, and this is just a regular computer fan, which is going to help draw that air up that we were talking about earlier. The vents on the bottom pull the air in, and then, we've got mosquito netting to keep the bugs from, getting in there and messing with our meat. So that's going to dry for about 48 hours. The other way that we're going to be making carne seca is with our dehydrator. I'm using a 5-tray dehydrator from Excalibur. We've had this thing about 8 years, absolutely brilliant. And I actually prefer this way to make carne seca because it is lightning fast. I mean, crazy. All right, so let's close this down and set the temperature to 105 degrees, and we're just going to crank the timer all the way up because this shouldn't take but about 18 hours or so to completely finish drying. Our meat has been drying for just a hair under 18 hours, and it looks absolutely beautiful. I mean, it should tear or break relatively easy when you bend it, and the goal here is little to no moisture. That's one of the reasons carne seca is so shelf stable and doesn't require refrigeration. So we're just going to set that in the kitchen and wait for the rest of our carne seca to finish drying, which should take about another 24 hours. The meat in the biltong box has been drying for just under 48 hours, and to me it looks done. So we're just going to go ahead and open up the lid and make sure that it's dried properly. When you check your meat, if you notice that it's still just a little moist, you can always leave it to dry for another day or even another 2 days just to ensure that it is properly dried. We're looking for totally dried meat. Let's see how it tears. Absolutely perfect. It looks like ours is ready. So let's remove it from our box, grab the rest of our meat, and then give it a taste. Our carne seca is finished, and talk about bringing back some childhood memories. I mean, this is a meat that I would go nuts eating at my abuelito's house when I was a kid. Some of my fondest memories in Mexico are around eating carne seca, strangely enough. And it didn't take very long to make. In a dehydrator, it took less than 18 hours. In our biltong box, it took less than 48 hours, and both ways came out absolutely perfect. So very quick to make, probably one of the quickest meat projects that we've done on this channel, and very easy. So if you try this at home, I have 100% confidence that you're going to be able to make authentic Mexican carne seca and just be able to enjoy this awesome dry cured meat. So let's just go ahead and give it a taste. And wow, smells amazing. Just comes right apart, very thin. Here we go. Carne seca. That's delicious. That is exactly how I remembered it. Simple, perfectly salted, very beefy, and absolutely delicious. This dry cured meat no longer requires refrigeration. Store it in an airtight container in a cool, dark place, and it will last you months at a time. And you can eat it just like this, the way I used to as a kid. But just remember that this is only the beginning for carne seca, because this king of meats in Mexico is actually used to prepare other dishes. So if you're not subscribed to the channel, go ahead and subscribe now and hit that notification bell, because in future videos, I'm going to show you how we turn this into machaca and use it to cook some absolutely amazing, authentic Mexican food. Thanks for watching this video. If you have any questions about how to make carne seca, leave them in the comment section below. And if you like this video or got anything out of it, a great big thumbs up is always appreciated. We appreciate you being here. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.